INFJs that identify as Sigma are uncertain if having this trait is actually advantageous. How come? It's because they encounter several difficulties that very few people ever encounter. However, what actions do Sigma INFJs do that consistently challenge them? Number 10, Sigma INFJs hold themselves to a high standard and set high criteria for themselves because they value personal development and want to make a significant influence. These lofty expectations, though, have a double-edged effect. When Sigma INFJs believe they are not living up to their own standards, they might get doubtful and anxious. They put a great deal of pressure on themselves, which causes them to constantly assess and criticize themselves. Sigma INFJs' drive for self-improvement and ambition to have a big impact on the world is what drives these testing features. It forces individuals to strike a balance between accepting their humanity and all of its imperfections and aiming for perfection. Lessons in self-compassion, embracing imperfection, and choosing progress and fulfillment over unachievable perfection are crucial for the personal development and well-being of Sigma INFJs. Number 9, Sigma INFJs may ignore their own wants and ideas in order to maintain peace since they value harmony above conflict. This can lead to self-sacrifice and internal strife. Because of this ongoing testing, one must become more forceful, adept at communicating, and able to resolve conflicts while retaining empathy and understanding. Sigma INFJs must strike a balance between upholding peace and expressing their opinions and limits if they are to develop and be happy. It calls on people to respect their empathy while navigating conflict, having tough talks, and standing up for their needs and ideals. Sigma INFJs may develop their assertiveness, improve their interpersonal skills, and build more genuine and harmonious relationships by taking these tests. Does your conflict avoidance as a Sigma INFJ challenge your boldness and communication abilities? Number 8, the Sigma INFJ's great desire to assist others can lead them to overextend themselves, take on an excessive amount of responsibility, and overlook their own self-care and personal development. The Sigma INFJs find it difficult to set appropriate boundaries and put their own needs first because they must always strike a balance between helping others and taking care of themselves. Additionally, those looking to take advantage of the generosity and compassion of Sigma INFJs may be drawn to their altruistic disposition. This part of the exam requires the Sigma INFJs to distinguish between manipulation and sincere intentions, as well as to stand up for themselves when they're being taken advantage of. Number 7, because of how society views Sigma qualities. It might be difficult for introverted and independent Sigma INFJs to avoid being misinterpreted or called cold, distant, or antisocial. They could experience pressure to be more gregarious and socially involved or to comply to cultural norms, which can lead to internal conflict and a feeling that they are not being true to who they truly are. This strengthens the fortitude and self-acceptance of Sigma INFJs. It pushes students to discover settings and groups that value and encourage their distinctive viewpoints and contributions, embrace their distinctive qualities, and boldly express their individuality. Through negotiating these assessments, Sigma INFJs may develop confidence, speak up for what they need, and design environments that highlight who they really are. How do you feel as a Sigma INFJ about people seeing your introversion as shyness and aloofness? Number 6, Sigma INFJs are very sensitive and empathic, and as a result, they may absorb the feelings and energy of those around them. This can induce emotional tiredness and make it difficult for them to tell their own feelings apart from other people's. To avoid burnout, these ongoing tests need the establishment of healthy emotional boundaries and self-care routines. Additionally, they are more sensitive to a variety of environmental stimuli, such as nuanced details and emotional cues that others might miss because of their heightened sensitivity. This may result in sensory overload and the need for frequent time spent alone to recover and refocus. Number 5, Sigma INFJs are always put to the test by their inner-outer struggle, which causes a perpetual tension between their intrinsic drive to serve the greater good and their yearning for seclusion and reflection. Since they are introverted people, Sigma INFJs naturally look for alone time to contemplate and refuel. But as INFJs who want to have a good influence, they also believe that they have an obligation to interact with the outside world and improve it. Sigma INFJs are faced with a dilemma: how to reconcile their need for privacy with their dedication to deep relationships and community involvement. It tests their capacity to respect their desire for reflection while figuring out how to contribute to causes and groups that share their beliefs. It asks them to balance the pull between social interaction and isolation. In order to achieve a harmonic integration of their internal world and their outward contacts, it requires introspection, boundary setting, and constant modification. How can you, as a Sigma INFJ, strike a balance between your desire for privacy and your desire to change the world for the better? Number 4, everyone is aware of how restricted the social energy of Sigma INFJs is, as they have to cut themselves apart from social interactions. Sigma INFJs are always put to the test by having limited social energy, since it forces them to prioritize their energy consumption and carefully regulate their social connections. They must fulfill such ties in order to maintain their tranquility. When it comes to social energy, Sigma INFJs tend to be less reserved than more extroverted people. The difficulty is striking a balance between their need for alone and rest and their want for deep connections. They might have to choose their social connections wisely, making sure to focus their energies on experiences that support their well-being and are consistent with their ideals. As a result, in order to refuel, the Sigma INFJs must establish boundaries, express their demands clearly, and exercise self-care. They need to learn how to handle social settings and make decisions that respect their introverted personality while preserving the connections that are significant to them. Number 3, individuals who are at ease with the current quo may oppose, be skeptical of, or even be hostile toward individuals who dare to question the status quo and pre-existing structures due to their need to question the status quo. This calls on the tenacity, bravery, and conviction of Sigma INFJs to uphold their convictions and promote constructive change. This frequently entails defying social norms and running the danger of receiving criticism or rejection. In spite of social pressure to fit in, it exhorts Sigma INFJs to uphold their integrity and sincerity. Sigma INFJs may advance society by embracing their own viewpoint, speaking up for what they believe in, and advocating for good change. Even though the road may be difficult, their desire to question the status quo may have a significant influence and encourage others to think critically and make improvements to the environment around them. Are you scared to question social conventions and create a lot of enemies as a Sigma INFJ? Number 2, due to their detailed relationship standards, Sigma INFJs often find it difficult to locate others who genuinely recognize and respect their distinctive characteristics. The need for deep emotional relationships, intellectual stimulation, and shared ideals is what gives birth to the complexity among Sigma INFJs. Their need for honesty and depth may make it difficult for them to settle for relationships that are shallow or surface level. This calls for the endurance, insight, and patience of Sigma INFJs. In their quest for real relationships, they can run into disappointments and setbacks, which might put their fortitude and self-belief to the test. Number 1, Sigma INFJs' relationships and interactions with others may be impacted by their intense emotional nature. They could struggle to negotiate issues or arguments without getting overly emotional. They might also be more perceptive to subtle emotional cues. The Sigma INFJs must learn excellent coping mechanisms and emotional resilience in order to handle the emotional intensity. They have to learn how to establish appropriate boundaries and balance their own emotional well-being with that of others. Sigma INFJs may harness the strength of their emotions while preserving their general well-being by identifying and comprehending the intensity of their emotions and using them to their advantage through self-expression or creative activities. Does your capacity for introspection cause you to feel strong emotions as a Sigma INFJ? The distinct path of the Sigma INFJs includes obstacles as well as chances for development. Sigma INFJs must continually test their ability to manage their sensitivity and empathy, as well as strike a balance between their personal development and social expectations. These difficulties do, yet, also present chances for growth, resilience, and self-discovery. As a Sigma INFJ, how do you see the problems you face in life? Do these hardships motivate you to improve?